again. See if that fixed it. I think that fixed it. Yeah. Well, we're finally here, ladies and gentlemen. The PSA JAKL build is officially complete. So let's talk about it. So this took me a little while to assemble everything here. As you can see, this is not a standard setup. It's a little more enhanced than what I normally do. But I want to talk about, first off, what this was intended for. This is kind of a test and tune, but also I didn't have any 5.56 rifle length guns. Like I sold my last one that I had, and all I've got is pistol length right now, and I don't feel like doing the SBR stuff right now. So I went with this, and this was kind of, again, purpose build, but purpose, cool factor, and budget on pretty much everything I do is always the three things I'm looking for. So I wanted a rifle. I wanted to be able to take it to, if I was doing a competition or going hunting or something like that, I wanted to be able to take it across state lines and not have to do, and I don't know the form, but whatever the form is you have to do for an SBR to take it across state lines. I didn't want to deal with that. And I also wanted to stay remotely budget friendly. Now, a lot of you are probably like, well, Dan, why didn't you just buy the JAKL and, you know, you'd had one? Why did you build this? Well, because a JAKL gun in this setup is like $13,000 or $1,300. So $1,300 for just the gun, and then changed out the trigger, added a Magwell, changed out the freaking grip, changed out the buttstock, changed, you know, the selector switch, the mag release, added some, you know, goodies. That's a waste of money. So I built it the way I wanted it and put the upper on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the upper, and then we're going to move into the parts. So like I said, the upper, I went with the rifle length, but this is actually the 14.5 pin and weld. So it hits 16 right here. It's not 16 on the barrels. And you can actually see there's a location right there where it's pin and welded in place. I specifically waited to get this exact one because I wanted FDE, I wanted 14.5, and I specifically wanted this brake. And there's a reason why I wanted the JMac brake. It's because it is a KeyMicro setup, and the Wolfman is a direct mount to that. So I'm able to use the can that I already have, and it goes right on, no questions asked. So let's talk about the lower and what I did with this lower, kind of how I built, you know, parts wise. This is the standard Aero Precision Milspec. This is not the enhanced. I would have gone with the enhanced, but I had something else in mind for this whole setup, and I may still do it down the road, but right now I don't feel like dropping $800 to do it. So this is where we're at with this right now. But for parts, HRF, the Magwell, I added that. I've never had one before. I wanted to try an AR Magwell, and I'm kind of digging it. Like it's pretty nice the way that kind of allows you to hit, and there's a little, I mean, you're still got to get lined up, but it does give you a little more surface area to catch. Looking back at the grip, now this grip, a lot of people are like, dude, what is with that grip? I actually really like this grip. It's from A3 Tactical. They also make this folding stock assembly. The folding stock assembly is called the Parastock. Does not come with the butt stock. It's just the frame and the folding assembly, but it does snap into place. It's not a detent, so to speak. It's just got like a angled, spring-loaded angle to kind of lock it into place, but you can still snap it out. It does have a detent over here. You have to like lift up and turn. Moving down to the selector switch. This is from Strike Industries. This is their enhanced. I'm still debating. I like the color, but I don't know if I like the color on this. I'm still debating. I might swap it. I've got a black one I might swap onto it, but it is enhanced, ambidextrous on both sides. And the selector switch, also from Strike Industries. If you noticed a minute ago, you might have caught it, you might not have, but I was pulling the mag out without touching the mag release. That's because this has an ambidextrous mag release. This is a button right here, and it allows you to pull the mag out from your left side, which is kind of nice. I kind of actually like that. If you go into your workspace, you can stay in the trigger well, pull your mag, refeed, hit your bolt release, and you're right back on, still in the trigger well. And obviously, I wouldn't recommend being on the trigger, but you're still in that area of operation. Moving out front, I kind of already talked about the brake and the can. This is a BCM little hand stop foregrip, whichever you want to call it. It does have a little angle to it. Somebody tried telling me I have it on backwards. I don't think I do, but you know, I guess you could run it either way. That's up to you. So the light though is the Olight GL Mini. It does come with a pressure pad with a low and a high setting. It also is adjustable in the fact that you can change it from light, which is here, light laser, or just the laser, whichever you prefer or want to run for whatever op you're doing. It does have a quick detach, which is a very, very strong magnet. Like you get it anywhere near it and it pulls itself right back into place. And it does have a little like locking detent. You can push up, locks it in place so you can't remove the cable or pull it off by accident. This is also where it charges. You pull this off, put the charging pad on it, and you're charging. The last thing, this is the part that I thought was pretty cool. It's got this little turn knob right here. You turn it, push in, and you can actually pull the light completely off. It's got a rail system that has two different locations. So I can mount it here on the bottom. So there it's mounted on the bottom. Push the same button, it drops out, or I can go back to where I originally had it on the side. There it is on the side. One other thing is this rail can be 180 degree turn. So if you're having a fitment issue, maybe putting something behind it or around it, you might be able to flip it 180 degrees and make it fit a little better. And lastly, up top, I've got the Sightmark M-Spec Ultra Shot here, and I've got the XTM3 3x magnifier. I freaking love this little magnifier. I've already done a video on it. I absolutely love this thing. Quick detach, super nice snap into place, 3x magnifier, and you're able to get right on target with it. I love this thing. This thing is what dreams are made of. Absolutely in love with this thing. Oh my God. So I want to talk about the build itself now. I kind of went over all the parts, but now I want to talk about the building process. Now, anytime you put a gun together that wasn't made by the same factory or the same parts company or things of that nature, you're opening yourself up to have fitment issues. All right. It's just part of the game. It's like putting non-OEM parts on an OEM vehicle. Sometimes stuff doesn't fit. You have to modify a little bit. And I ran into that issue a little bit. Now, something to note is this is a monolithic upper that is $850. All right. This is a $140 or whatever lower milled piece of aluminum. I went to put everything together, and when I put the upper and lower together, I was having a really hard time getting this rear pin to slide all the way through. So I wasn't sure what was causing it. I could get it through if I tapped on this side with a hammer just a little bit, like a little, my little punch hammer. It'd go in. It was just very, very tight. And when you have tight pins like that and you're shooting and you have that impact, that recoil, it can cause fractures and stress fractures and breaks and things of that nature. And that's really not good. So if it would have been just kind of snug and I could still get it in and out, I would have left it alone. But it was not snug. It was very, very tight. Like I had to hit it 3 or 4 times, and I mean, tapping on it, but I had to do some adjusting. So what I ended up doing, and I couldn't figure out why it was causing an issue, but what I ended up doing was hooking it here. And then I literally just took the whole upper and just smashed it onto the lower. I know that sounds crazy, but I needed to find the location that it was hitting. And what I found is if you see this spot right here, and there's also a spot over there that are kind of shiny, it actually put like a little nick. And what I was able to do, and people are going to cringe when I say this, I got the Dremel tool out. Now, the good news is this does not require a buffer tube, so I'm not going to mess up any of the threads. The threads don't really need anything. Yes, you do use the threads on the back side, but it's only like 4 or 5 of them, and there's a bunch in there, so it's not an issue. What I ended up doing was just taking the Dremel tool and I don't know if I'll be able to get it in focus, but I was able to clean it off right there, a little bit down here on this angle here, and also on that side as well. So, and you can see I didn't really take, if I took any material, it wasn't much. Essentially, all I was doing was just clearing the Cerakote off. And I actually think the problem was that there was too much Cerakote on those locations. Everything was milled exact. And when you add the Cerakote, you do add a few hundredths of a millimeter or whatever, a few thousandths, and it causes issues. So sometimes you got to adjust, clean things out. If you do any kind of Cerakote, powder coat, paint, all of those add material. So I did have to clean it off, but once I did that, I put it together. I can get the pin in and out now. Other than that, everything went together very smoothly, to include, and I don't think I talked about this earlier, but this is the trigger. And it is very dirty in there because it's got about 350 rounds through it, and I have not cleaned it one bit. So if you're curious on how dirty it gets, despite it being a piston-driven system, you still get some gas. I mean, mind you, 350 rounds went through this, but they were all suppressed. So every single round, I have not shot this unsuppressed yet. So that causes a lot more blowback. But this is the Rise Armament Rave 140 trigger. This is the 3rd one of these that I have. And shout out to Lake Erie Arms. I got this from Lake Erie Arms, and they run a deal. I don't know if anywhere else does it, but they run a deal. You get, if you buy the trigger and the lower parts kit together, you get it for like $150. The trigger is normally like $130. So I have seen it on sale online for like $110, but normal price is like $120, $125, $130 right in there. I got the whole lower parts kit and everything for $150. It's a win. So that is essentially what I did with the lower. Something to note while we're here, this bolt catch, bolt release, whichever you want to call it, does come, it is proprietary, it does come with the upper. And the reason is if you look right here, this is very, very thin. The upper is a little wider than a normal upper, so it's thinned out, and there's actually a spot, and I'll grab it here and show you. There's a spot cut into the upper right here where it sets in. So this actually goes, it sets in like that, and when you push it, it goes back in a little bit. There's the upper by itself if you're curious. This thing essentially, to some degree, is an AK bolt assembly put into an upper, an AR. Take the spring out here, and then the bolt comes out. It is a long piston system. There's plenty of other videos if you want to know about all that kind of stuff. Go watch them. But yeah, there you go. So there is one more item that I forgot that I wanted to make sure I pointed out to you guys. If you're going to build your lower around the upper, like I did, you will need this assembly here. So this, and I cut it loose there, but fold this over so you can see, this is a solid piece of aluminum here, and there's a bolt in right there. So this is how you get around not having a buffer tube. ultimately what you do is if you already have it built, you'd take your buffer tube off. Just be careful, there's a detent spring in here, but you would take your buffer tube off, or if it's a stripped lower, you would then put your detent, your spring in. On the inside here, on the back side, there's a big like plug that threads in, and it's just has a big flat plate with a round, or it's a round plate that threads in. It's got one big slit across it for a screwdriver. You thread that in, use the blue Loctite, thread that in to where it's just flush. You will then put this on the back, making sure to put that spring in and push it in nice and even. Now it can be a little finicky. You got to mess with that spring and make sure you're pushing it straight. You don't want to bend your spring. Once you get that in, this is a rubber buffer. You would just put that in, and then there is a bolt. This bolt goes all the way through the assembly and bolts into the back here, into this piece. Once you get that, it just kind of squeezes everything together. When you get to where you don't have a gap here, you're good to go. Again, make sure you use blue Loctite. The kit came with everything. I think it was like $100 for the kit. It's very, very nice. I haven't had any issues with it. Ultimately, you don't actually need it, but if you run it without it, with like, let's just say you buy the upper and you just put it on an existing lower, you will have this gap right here. You'll be able to see like that much. Now, can you do it? Yes. You might get some gas blowback. I'm not sure on that. I didn't do it, but you might get some gas blowback, and then you always have the potential for getting dirt and stuff rammed down in there. Not that, most people are running through the woods and the mud and doing that, but hypothetical situation, it could happen. So that is something to consider. If you're in a situation where you're like, hey, I was able to get the low or the upper, and the back assembly here was out of stock or something, you could still run it without it, but that's how you put it all together. So now testing on this thing, I'm at 350 rounds. I'm shooting for 500 before I'm calling it broke in. Now I've got some footage from the range with my buddy Jason, and we attempted to break it. I'm not gonna lie. Like I've ran 350 rounds through this thing, and all of them were hard ran, like just ripping the trigger as hard as we could. And it has eaten everything. Like it has taken, and I've ran multiple different kinds of ammo through it. At least 4 different types that I can think of offhand, and there might have been a 5th, and some of it was steel case as well. So one cool thing, and I'll try putting the video in here, but the one video you actually see Jason, and he's just straight ripping on this thing. You'll notice that the angle of ejection changes from about the 4 o'clock to like the 2:30. Like you see it, it's like a stream coming out, and then all of a sudden they start coming off not forward, but kind of off to the straight side. And I had put 10 rounds in of one type of ammo, and then I finished it out with the another type of ammo, and that was just the gas change making it eject slightly different. So the gas tube up here, the gas block, is adjustable, and this is where I ran into the only problems that I ran into was gassing. Ultimately, what you need to do is, out of the box, whether you're going to run it suppressed or not, if you're going to run it unsuppressed, take it out and shoot it unsuppressed, and start dialing it down until you start feeling it smooth out. Eventually, you're going to hit a point where it's not going to want to fire. It's going to run one round and it's going to stop. And then you're going to charge it and it's going to run one round and it's going to stop. And you're going to be like, what the heck is going on? Turn it back up a notch, try it again. We took it down 3 notches on the Wolfman and it ran smooth. We were able to go on his Nomad down 4 notches and it ran smooth. Now he has a different end cap. I've got a 30 cal end cap on this. He's got a 5.56 end cap on his, so it's a little more restrictive on the gas, which caused more back pressure, which allowed us to turn it down a little bit more. But then when I came back to the Wolfman, I'm back at a 30 cal can, and I had to turn it back up one because it wasn't cycling. So it's one of those things, you got to build the system for what you're going to do and play with it, test it, tune it. You're going to run into that gassing issue with a lot of different firearms, you know, especially obviously semi-auto firearms. I mean, but when you have that adjustable gas block, though, it makes it super easy. And it does have, you can see the light through there, see my skin. It has, you could stick a 5.56 or 2.23 round in there and adjust it one way or the other. You can do it with your hand. Warning, it gets hot, but you're able to do it. And the detent isn't super hard to twist. It's, I won't say easy, but it's, you know, doable. I did watch a video of someone that tore that apart and cleaned it all out. There are videos out there for that as well. So something to keep in mind. All right, try two. We had to up the gas a little bit.
Ready?
Yeah. All right, so in conclusion on this thing, I love this freaking firearm. I don't know what to name it yet. I try to name all my builds something. I have not named her yet, and I'm going with it's a her. But I do have, I like this thing so much that I now want to build the 10.5 version, and do either a pistol or maybe even do the actual SBR. I've never done one before, but I'm thinking about it. But if I do it, I want to do something super unique, super special, and some people are going to hate me, but hey, I only know everything in my life is like to the extreme, like everything, and that's just we're going all out, or we're not going at all. So that's where we're at with this thing. I love this gun though. It freaking, this is my new range battle rifle from now on, and yeah, I can't say enough good. All right, guys, so I hope you liked the video. As always, if you got questions, comments, put them down in the comments and we'll talk about them.
Like and subscribe on our channel. See you guys next time. Stay tactical. We'll see you guys later.
Stay tuned, stay tactical.